As I said, I am the program director of HeatSmart Tompkins, and we are a community-based nonprofit located in Tompkins and Chemung, serving Tompkins and Chemung counties. And so our mission is to do outreach and education about home energy solutions that will save you money, make you more comfortable, and have a healthy environment in your home, and provide solutions for climate change. We started out as Solar Tompkins, promoting solar in Tompkins County, and that program was so successful that the founders of Solar Tompkins decided to move on to home energy efficiency, because solar was just really taking off, and it didn't seem like we needed a program just to promote solar anymore. We do not make profit off of any sales, and so we're just a neutral party trying to provide education, outreach, support, remove barriers to adoption of these home energy efficiency solutions. So earlier I was talking about the different HeatSmart communities, and technically, although a lot of these communities use the name HeatSmart that we originated here in Tompkins County, they're technically called the NYSERDA Clean Heating and Cooling Community. So when we started HeatSmart, we were just Solar Tompkins, which was run basically on a shoestring. We had some money from local foundations to run the program, and we started HeatSmart under the same arrangement. But we were really fortunate and flattered that NYSERDA, the New York State Energy Research and Development Authority, liked the idea of HeatSmart so much that they decided to fund our program and offer opportunities for other parts of the state to start similar programs. So this is an unfortunately outdated map. We're chomping at the bit for a newer one that shows the existing HeatSmart program. So you can see how outdated this is. So here's HeatSmart Tompkins, and it's not showing Chemung. And then here's Bennett's program, HeatSmart Otsego, which is now HeatSmart Mohawk Valley, and has spread out to all of these areas. And then pretty soon there's going to be HeatSmart of the Southern Finger Lakes, or HeatSmart Finger Lakes South, HeatSmart Finger Lakes North, and HeatSmart Monroe. So you'll see all those programs coming online shortly. And the reason I love to show this map is just bragging rights, because we were the very first program. We initiated this idea, and we're just so proud of how it's spread across the state and even to other states. Well, why do we need such a thing as a clean heating and cooling program, or a HeatSmart program? Well, the reason is because we're in something called the climate crisis, or the climate emergency, as some are calling it, where the amount of greenhouse gases trapped in our atmosphere are going up and up and up each year, which is impacting the global climate. And so we need to figure out a way as a society to stop doing that as quickly as possible. And so we want to look at, well, where are those greenhouse emissions coming from here in New York? Basically, there's three main categories of how we are producing greenhouse gases in New York. Transportation and on-site combustion are the two biggest. And currently electricity accounts for about 20% of our emissions. And this black piece of the pie, the on-site combustion, a large portion of that is the fossil fuels that we are burning to heat our homes, to heat our hot water, and some of it for cooking and running other appliances as well. So, and that's because 90% of the households in New York use fossil fuels for heating. So a really big piece of solving this climate puzzle is figuring out how we can cut way down on the emissions from the on-site combustion in our homes. And that's where HeatSmart comes in. So we have sort of three basic categories of recommendations for people to look at their home or building. The first thing we ask people to do is to really look at your building envelope. And that's because no matter how you're producing your heat, or your air conditioning, if you have air conditioning, you want to you don't want it to just go right out the window. So having a look at your building envelope, the insulation in your walls, in your basement, in your attic, are all very important. And also air sealing, which is different than insulation. Insulation is like wearing a warm sweater, but if the wind blows, it blows right through that sweater. So you need air sealing, which seals up all the cracks and crevices that allow that air to go in or out of your home. And the second, and sort of the thing we're going to talk about the most tonight, recommendation is for our space heating and also our cooling. What we recommend is the technology of heat pumps. And there are two basic categories of those: air source and ground source heat pumps. And we'll spend most of the time tonight talking about that. The third category that we want people to look at is your domestic hot water. And, it isn't the biggest thing you do in your house, but it is about 20% of the energy use in your home. So it's really quite well worth looking at. And especially because a heat pump hot water heater is, there's great incentives now to install them. So it's kind of the biggest bang for your buck. If you're not ready for a new heating system, or you just can't get one right now, even just switching out your hot water heater can make a really big difference. Okay. So heat pumps, that's the main topic tonight. And what is a heat pump? This is sort of a very simple schematic of a heat pump, but a heat pump is a pretty simple piece of technology. And everybody on this call has a heat pump already in their house. It's what keeps your refrigerator cold. And you might have noticed, I used to be amazed by this as a child, that the back of the refrigerator is very hot and the inside is cold. And that's because that heat pump is pumping the heat energy out of your refrigerator. So you can use that same technology, a refrigerant loop that goes through a condensation and evaporation cycle to either absorb or expel heat. And that can be reversed for air conditioning, which is why heat pumps are great for heating, but also provide excellent air conditioning. So why heat pumps? What's great about them? They are super, super energy efficient. They are 200 to 400% efficient. And that's because they're taking the heat energy that already exists in the air or the ground, and they're using that to heat up your house or your hot water. So they don't have to create that heat energy like you do when you burn something. And that's where all the efficiency is found. They, as we mentioned, use refrigeration technology to utilize this free energy. They will heat your homes in the winter and cool in the summer, as I also mentioned before. They also dehumidify when they run the air in your home through this refrigerant cycle. They are also taking moisture out of the air, which here in upstate New York is a big deal, as you all know. Heat pumps can be used to heat your hot water, so not just for your space heating. They can improve your indoor air quality, something that all of us should be thinking a lot more about these days than we ever did before. And even before, most the indoor air quality is actually a really big deal for people's health. And if you're currently heating with delivered fuels like propane, kerosene, or oil, or electric space heaters, a heat pump for your heating is going to drastically reduce the cost of heating your house. Okay, so the topic tonight is which is right for you. And of course, that all depends, but I'm going to talk to you about what the different kinds are and what some of the considerations for figuring out which one is right for you are. So as I mentioned before, there's two basic kinds of heat pumps: ground source heat pumps, sometimes called geothermal, and also air source heat pumps. And why is this doing this? Okay. Nope, I don't want to do that. I just want that little thing in the bottom to go away. Why won't it? I don't know. Okay, so sorry about that. So ground source heat pumps take the heat out of the ground. You have some kind of a heat collecting mechanism, whether it's horizontal or vertical loops that go down to the ground, and beneath the frost line, the ground, it stays at about a constant 50 degrees. So there's heat energy there to be collected. And they bring that heat energy back into your house, and that's how they heat your house. And they can also be used to heat your hot water. Air source heat pumps here on the left take heat energy out of the air and put it through a refrigerant loop, and that is how they heat your house. So why are they less efficient than ground source heat pumps? Well, because sometimes the difference between the cold air outside and the temperature you want your house to be is a big delta. So they have to work harder to get the heat in your house up to the temperature that you'd like to live at. And there are also heat pump hot water heaters, so that you can heat your water with those. So what are the considerations when you're trying to decide? For most of us, budget is a pretty big consideration. Generally speaking, but not always, air source heat pumps are going to be cheaper than ground source heat pumps to install. However, that is not always true. So it's definitely a consideration, but you shouldn't assume that that's necessarily the case for your house. And the second factor is your goals. What is your main goal? Is it that you want something installed right away? Is it that you want something that is going to be the best solution for climate change? Is it that you want the best possible air conditioner? So your goals matter. Carbon reduction, ground source heat pumps are more efficient than air source heat pumps. So if your biggest concern is climate change, you might be leaning more towards the ground source heat pumps that are going to reduce carbon even more than the air source heat pumps. Your lot and your landscaping. This is a big deal. When you put in ground source heat pumps, you need to put in some kind of heat collector into the ground. Either this means big, long, deep trenches dug in your property where they lay the loop field, or it means a drill rig comes on your property and drills down 500 feet to put a borehole. So those are kind of a big deal, and not everybody is ready to have those things happen at their house. So if you're not, or if it can't happen at your house for whatever reason, because of access or lot size or other factors, then ground source heat pump might not be for you. And that then would sort of lead you towards the air source heat pump. Geology, mostly in this area, our geology is pretty favorable to ground source heat pumps. There are some areas where there are pockets of gas in the rock below, and the drillers really don't like to drill into the gas because it can blow up. We don't like that either. So, but the geology in the area is well known by all the drillers, and so they will tell you if you're not in a good area for that, or they can get around it by drilling to a different depth so that they don't hit those tricky pockets. But there's other things. There could be an aquifer under where you are. There could just be, you could be on a sort of glacial moraine. There's geologic considerations. One thing that people assume is that if they're right on top of bedrock, they cannot get ground source heat, and that is not true. The drillers can drill right into bedrock. So that is a false assumption. Distribution, what I mean by distribution is how what kind of distribution system you have in your house, whether you have radiators, baseboards, radiant heat loops, or forced air, and that could impact what kind of heat pump you switch to. Aesthetics, just, what some people just don't like the way that air source heat pump heads look, and they would prefer to not have those in their house. Some people think they're fine. Some people don't like how they look at first, and then it grows on them. So it's just, what is your house style? What would it look like in your house? And what makes sense to you. These last two are very important. The system longevity. A ground source heat pump is a longer lasting system. The loop field that they dig or drill is going to last, basically the rest of your life. it's a pretty disruptive thing to install, but once it's in, and you're not going to have to replace that. The indoor unit, the heat pump itself, is sheltered in your basement. It's not outside in the elements, and they are supposed to last 20 or 25 years. We've seen them last longer. So whereas an air source heat pump system is more like a 15-year life expectancy. And then the system maintenance, which is something you'll want to talk to your installer about, but basically, checking the filters, cleaning the filters, and how often do you get somebody to check on your system and make sure it's working properly, and what will that cost? Okay, sorry, that was a long, boring slide, but now I get back to some pictures. So here's the ground source heat pumps. This shows this little robot-y looking guy on the left is what the indoor unit looks like. I always feel like this picture, it looks really huge. It's not huge. It's a bit bigger probably than the furnace that you may have now. But it's about the size of a refrigerator. And this one is showing a forced air system. So you see these ducts going up to the house carrying the hot air. So I don't see where it's there's piping coming in from outdoors from the ground loop that's bringing the water in to the heat pump. Then it goes through the refrigeration loop and pumps the water to exchanges the heat with the air and pumps that hot air out into your house. And this on the right is showing a loop field. This is a horizontal loop field with the heat collecting loops laid in trenches. Of course, that all gets covered up, but this is showing you what it looks like before it gets covered up. And as I mentioned before, these are 400% or more efficient, the most efficient, long-lasting, climate-friendly heating system that you can have. But the reason it tends to be fairly expensive to put one in is, of course, there's a lot of labor involved in getting that loop field put in. Okay, so air source heat pumps, there are several kinds, but what's shown here is known as a ductless mini split. And this is the kind that we see quite often installed through our program. The great thing about air source heat pumps is they're incredibly versatile, and they don't have to make use of a pre-existing heat distribution system. So they're great for retrofits. They're great for if you don't need a whole house replacement, but you just need air conditioning or heating in one room or one part of the house, or an outbuilding, a rental cottage. They're just incredibly versatile machines. They can go from a whole house to just, your garage, basically. And you see a lot of these around town that people just put in for air conditioning. And that's kind of too bad, because if they put in the cold climate heat pumps, they would get the air conditioning, but they would also get heating. And although the cold climate heat pumps cost a bit more, we have rebates for them. So after the rebates, there's really not a difference. So it's unfortunate that more HVAC installers don't understand and promote these units as whole home heating solutions. So they're also quite efficient, but not as efficient as a ground source heat pump, sorry. And some people have heard, or there's sort of bad rumors around there that say, well, air source heat pumps aren't good in cold climates. And that's just really not true. It did used to be true, but there are terrific cold climate air source heat pumps now. All of the ones that are recommended by our program are guaranteed to operate down to -13, and or to keep your house at temperature down to -13, and they'll still function at lower temperatures. So they work really great. I visited Norway last year, and everyone in Norway has one of these air source heat pumps. So Norway's colder than upstate New York. So if it works for Norway, it works for us. Okay, so how much does it cost to heat your house with these things? Well, these numbers are from Maine, not from New York, not too different from us, and from 2017. So the fossil fuel prices during COVID have gone down, but this is the typical prices people have been paying to heat their homes. This would be for the same size house or same size heating load. And as you can see, this ASHP, air source heat pump, and ground source heat pump are by far the most affordable ways to heat your house, other than wood, which of course doesn't provide you with air conditioning and is a lot of work. And that if you're currently heating with propane, oil, electric baseboard, you're going to just see drastic savings right away. So if you put in one of these systems, so it's incredibly beneficial. For those of us that heat with gas, you can make a lot of good reasons that you might want to switch to a heat pump, but you can't just say, oh, it's going to save you tons of money. It's not with the current price of gas. What we know though is that the current price of gas is artificially very low, and it can't stay that low. So you're still going to be, ahead with a heat pump for sure. Okay. There are a lot of incentives that will help pay for these systems. And the first are the rebates from NYSEG. That's a new program as of April 1st. And that they're going to give you $1,500 per 10,000 BTU hours back off the cost of a ground source heat pump system. Well, nobody knows what 10,000 BTU hours is. So what we can say is that a typical heating demand that we see in most homes in this area is about 25,000 to 60,000 BTU hours. So here's what the rebate would be. And that comes off the top of the price. So you're not paying that part. Your installer will give you a proposal that will say, here's the price, and here's the price after that rebate. And the rebate will go, they will apply for it. But there's also a federal tax credit for ground source heat pumps. For the rest of this year, it's 26% off of what you pay after the rebate. And next year, it'll be 22%. And after that, it's supposed to go to 10% or something like that. So unless we're hoping that maybe something better will come. But for now, that's it. And you do have to owe taxes to take advantage of that. But if the amount of the rebate is more than you owe in taxes, you can amortize that over 5 years, actually. So we've seen people do that in the program who don't have a big tax burden. They've just basically used the tax credits, so they didn't have to pay taxes for like 3 years. It's kind of great. Okay. So air source heat pumps, as I said, generally are a little cheaper, so the rebate's a little lower. We're actually really delighted to have a rebate at all, because there didn't used to be any rebate for air source heat pumps. Now there is $1,000 per 10,000 BTU hours. This is the best air source heat pump rebate that has ever been around. And we're really lucky to have it. And there's also a whopping $300 Energy Star tax credit available if you get air source heat pumps this year. So don't spend it all in one place. But wait, there's more. So because of the COVID pandemic and the economic impact on New Yorkers, there's been some special incentives offered for people who are income eligible. And these are mostly for insulation and air sealing, but they can be used sometimes for heat pumps. So you can, if you qualify for Empower, which if you qualify for HEAP, you qualify for Empower, you can get $10,000 in grants. If you qualify for Assisted Home Performance, which they raise the eligibility for to 120% of median, you can get up to $5,000 matching grant. And also through the HeatSmart program and our partners, the Finger Lakes Climate Fund, additional grants are available on a case-by-case basis. And in a week or two, this month, there's also going to be a special heat pump pilot for people in these income categories. And those, you may qualify for those if you are income eligible, if your house is insulated well enough or can be insulated well enough, and if you currently heat with any fuel except for natural gas. You can ask to be considered for this heat pump pilot program, which is going to pay for most or all of the cost of installing heat pumps for 500 homes across New York State. So it's a short-term program. It's not going to cover everybody, but if you might qualify, you want to find out now, because now is your chance to be a part of this special program. And the reason is because NYSERDA is trying to figure out, by doing these 500 homes, what it will take to get more people into heat pumps in the future. So it's an unbelievable opportunity that was supposed to launch last week, but it's been a little bit delayed. So it's going to launch, they say, this month. So who is eligible for that program? Currently, these are the income cutoffs for household size in Tompkins County for the assisted home performance side, and that these numbers are only good until the end of December, and after that they go way, way down. So if you're sort of if you qualify by your household size now, but just barely, you will only qualify until the end of the year. And that doesn't mean you need your heat pumps installed by the end of the year, but it means you need your application to be in for assisted home performance before the end of the year. So I urge you to not dilly-dally if you qualify for these income cutoffs. And we have a chart. If your household size is bigger than 5, I can show you that too. And if your income, this can be based on your last year's tax return, but if you're making less this year than you were last year, you don't have to use that. You can use your last few paychecks because what they're trying to do is help the economy, help stimulate the heat pump industry, but also help out folks who are making less money because of the pandemic. All right. Oh, yes. So you qualify until December 31st. So finally, there are various kinds of financing to pay these upfront costs. There's the Green Jobs Green New York loans that have variable interest rates depending on your income. Alternatives Credit Union in Ithaca has energy efficiency loans, and our installers may have financing that they can offer through Enerbank or other lenders. So you can ask them about that. So that's all. I'm almost done with my presentation. HeatSmart Tompkins, our model was to come out in the community and meet with people in churches and town halls and libraries and meet you face to face. And of course, now since COVID, we haven't been able to do that. So that's why we're having this webinar. But we also have a lot of resources, including all the webinars from this year, home tours, case studies, income charts, videos you can watch, all on our website, heatsmarttompkins.org. We have fact sheets about the different technologies, so you can read more about them. We have some pricing examples, so you can sort of see what other people did and what the baseline prices for some of these technologies are. And this is the final one of our fall webinar series for HeatSmart Tompkins, but all of our past webinars have been recorded and are either already on our website or will be put up shortly. Also, if you're concerned about COVID right now, I just want to let you know that all of our installers have very strict safety protocols. So if they come to your house, they will maintain distance, they will be masked, they will wash their hands, they take their temperatures before they go to work, all that good stuff. But also, if that's even too risky for you, you can just ask them to give you a proposal and an assessment remotely over the phone. You can send them pictures and emails. You can talk to them on the phone, and they can give you a really good proposal without ever coming to your house. So don't let that stop you. So that's it. I want to emphasize that when choosing what's right for you, air source or ground source heat pumps, that there's an art and a science to heat pump design and installation, and the installers are the experts. So they will work with you individually based on your goals, your home, your budget, to design and recommend the system that will work best for you. And so to have those conversations with the installers, what we recommend is that you enroll on our website, heatsmarttompkins.org. Oh, and it looks like I've put HeatSmart CNY on this slide. I can't remember which webinar I was doing. That must have included you guys. So, and I have a slide also that shows the websites for all the neighboring HeatSmart programs. And when you enroll, you're just filling out a short form. It just takes a few minutes, and requesting whichever one of our installer partners or all of them to get in touch with you and give you a proposal, which is completely free and there's no obligation to you whatsoever. So whether you are already ready to replace your heating system, or you want to plan for the future and find out what kind of heating system is best for you, for when you are ready, when you can afford it, whatnot, you want to enroll with HeatSmart and start a relationship with us and with our installer partners. So speaking of our installer partners, we have 4 of them. Each of them brings something special to the program. They are all carefully vetted by HeatSmart for their expertise in installing heat pumps, their customer service, their technologies that they carry, the products, the design, and their labor practices. So we hardly recommend these 4 companies. We have 2 heat pump specialists, Daily Geothermal and NP Environmental, and 2 whole home contractor companies, Halco Energy and Snug Planet, that also do insulation, air sealing, as well as heat pumps. And without any further ado, I think that's my last slide. Oh, I'm going to show, these are our neighboring programs. If you want to take a screenshot of this, or I can just email it to you after, or you can ask in the chat and we can give you the contact information. So I'm going to stop talking and stop sharing my screen. And I'm going to give our contractor installer partners an opportunity to introduce themselves at this point, and then we'll take your questions. So let's see who's where. So I'm going to start with Ryan Daly of Daily Electric, or Daily Geothermal. Why don't you say hello to the folks, Ryan?
Hi, I'm Ryan, Daily sorry, Lisa, my computer messed up. I'm on my phone. This is like terrible. I'm Daily Electric in Penn, and we install geothermal and air source heat pumps as our main part of our business. We have around 20 employees, and we also do residential plumbing and electric in new construction homes in the Finger Lakes area. This is our first year being part of the HeatSmart Tompkins, whatever we're calling it now, program. And also down in Binghamton, we've been down there, but they changed their name too, which is the Nest program now, which is very confusing. But we're a small company. We specialize in geothermal. We install water furnace products. My wife runs our office, runs most of our business. My dad and mom still work for the business. We're pretty small, and we're happy to be part of the HeatSmart program.
Thanks so much, Ryan. Poor Ryan is doing double duty tonight because he had Girl Scouts as well as this as well as this webinar tonight. So I'm happy to see you. Next, I'd like to introduce Matt Dennis of Halco Energy.
Hello, how are you? Thanks everybody for being here. Happy to be here. Halco has been a part of the HeatSmart program from day one. I like to say that we've been doing this HeatSmart stuff before everybody got hip to it, so that was pretty cool as far as energy efficiencies and heat pumps and making your home more efficient. We're part of a couple other HeatSmart programs throughout Central New York and the Finger Lakes region. We do everything. Our motto is, yes, we do that. So soup to nuts, if it has to do with energy efficiency, home comfort, home energy, we're there for you. Been in business for 36 years. We do insulation, air sealing, traditional HVAC, heat pumps, ground source, air source, solar, basement waterproofing, home energy assessments, indoor air quality. Pretty much if you need it, we can do it for you. We're a one-stop shop. We got 140 people that work for the company right now. We cover 26 counties. We've got a dedicated service department that's available 24/7, 365. So if you call us anytime, day or night, anytime, day of the week, a real life human is going to answer the phone at the office. So you're always going to be able to get a hold of somebody. It's not a leave a message, we'll get back to you sort of thing. We're very proud of the fact that we're available 100% of the time, no matter what. And we're one of the largest contractors that works with NYSERDA and all the different programs. And for the novice, the grant programs can be kind of daunting, but when you do them on a regular basis, which like we do, we've got dedicated staff, and we've had a lot of experience dealing with NYSERDA and all the different grant programs. And we're not surprised that the newest program has been delayed. But we're expecting, big things to happen with that. So we're just waiting patiently for it. But we're there to help you out and walk you through the paperwork and let you know what you can do and what's available to you. And just because this is what we do all day, so it's trying to keep it all in our heads is a challenge, so you don't have to deal with it. But what's that?
Sorry, I thought you were done.
No, okay, I'm done now. Lisa cut me off.
Okay, thanks so much, Matt. And next, I'd like to introduce Kevin from NP Environmental.
Hello, everyone. So my name is Kevin. I'm with NP Environmental. I work as a field engineer for NP. NP is heat pumps. We specialize in heat pumps. That's 100% the business. That's what we do. So we've been around since 2004, doing heat pumps since day one. Domestic hot water, air source, ground source. It's all heat pumps. That's what we're focused and committed to. And I think that's what makes the company successful in what we're doing, because that's what we worry about 24/7. And the other thing that makes NP really great, I think, is the team members. We have a diverse group of employees, about 20 of us, each coming from renewable energy, HVAC, mechanical backgrounds, and we each bring something different to the table and work together to provide great systems. So we've been with HeatSmart Tompkins since the beginning, and a few other programs. Great opportunities for everyone to come together, discuss, learn, and that's what I look forward to doing tonight. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Kevin. And last but certainly not least, Elizabeth Herod of Snug Planet.
Well, my husband, who started Snug Planet in 2006, will tell you I love to get the last word, so this is great. Snug Planet started in 2006 with a mission to reduce homes' energy use in ways that make sense for people and the planet. And so we've been a reduction company all these years, and insulation is not that sexy, but we get very excited about making people's homes very well insulated, making them most efficient. So that's our starting point. How can we reduce the amount of conditioned air how home needs, and how can we keep it in there as long as possible? And then when it's time to get a new heating system, we love installing air source and ground source heat pumps And just because I thought I might get quizzed, I'm a teacher is my background. I made this long list of all the things that we think about when we help customers decide if they want to go air source or ground source. And Lisa covered about 4 or 5 of my thoughts, but I had other thoughts. So if you want to hear kind of the decision-making tree Snug Planet will help you go through. One of our customers is here in this call, and I've been helping them go through that decision-making tree of air source or ground source, and they're good candidates for either. So they're trying to make up their minds, but there's a lot of factors in making that decision. And as Matt Dennis said, you know, we like Halco and the other teams think about this stuff all the time. We're up on the latest cutting edge, you know, factors and how to design systems that will really keep you comfortable year round. And as Matt said, we have a lot of experience dealing with all the incentives, and there's a lot of nuances and unique things about your home that make it special. And that's what we try to do at Snug Planet, is make you feel special and like, you know, design a plan that's perfect for your needs and budget and your home. So that's us. And I think I'll just turn it back over to Lisa.